Okay, guys, here we go. We're going to go ahead and move into text. We've been looking at a persuasive video, and now we're going to see how authors do the same thing as far as establishing trust and all that sort of thing with the emotions and the logic and the statistics. And then it'll be fun. Here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with Pre-K for All by Sarah Mead. The first step, just like last time, is for you to read it all the way through on your own. If you would like to hear someone read it out loud, there is an audio recording of it, and you should ask your teacher to share that with you. So stop the video and read the text all the way through. Okay, hopefully you read the text all the way through and you're back with me. And what we're going to do is kind of do the say do again. This is a different kind of text. It's persuasive instead of expository, but the say do technique will work with this kind of text. So the first step, as always, is to go through and summarize on the left-hand side. So you've read it through once, so you know what's important and what the main argument is about the universal pre-K being the best option for kids. And now what you're going to do is just go paragraph by paragraph and pick the most important piece for each paragraph. So if we look at the first paragraph, it said, I support expanded public investment in early childhood, but I don't support universal pre-K. Pre-K spending should be targeted to low-income children, not subsidized middle-class families who can afford it. It's a common theme in debates about early childhood education, and I used to agree with it. So Sarah Mead, the author, gives a common argument against universal pre-K and says that she used to agree with it. So we would summarize that and put the summary on the left-hand side. The author used to agree that tax dollars should only pay for pre-K for poor children. Period, the end. Okay, so then you're going to go through each paragraph and do the same thing. Just summarize each paragraph on the left-hand side. So go ahead, you can stop the video, and when you're done summarizing, I will get back with you to talk about the right-hand column and what I want you to do with the do side this time. So stop the video, go through, summarize, and with this one, I'm going to give you a hint. It's pretty easy because with these numbered paragraphs, she gives the basic idea in that first part before the colon. She says, like for this one, all kids can benefit from quality pre-K. That kind of is a summary of what this paragraph is about, because she makes her claim and then she supports it with lots of evidence. So summarizing this one's going to be pretty easy because she kind of did it for you by just giving a short example of what her claim is, and then this is the part where she expands. So hint, hint, if you just look at kind of what's before the colon, that's going to be a good start. Not your whole summary. I'm not saying just copy it into the left-hand margin, but it's a good start. You won't need much more than that. So go ahead, stop, and summarize the video, or summarize the text. Okay, if you're back with me after you summarize the text, now I'm going to talk about what I want you to do in the do column. So what we're going to do is think back to that video you watched about the skin cancer, and it was all about establishing trust and what the people were doing to establish trust. It was about the facts and figures that the people shared as evidence. And then it was about how the author appealed to emotions. So for each paragraph, I want you to tell me if the author is establishing trust, giving evidence, or appealing to emotions, and I want you to tell me how you know that. So let's look at the first one for an example. Again, I support expanded public investment in early childhood, but I don't support universal pre-K. Pre-K spending should be targeted to low-income children, not subsidized middle-class families who can afford it. It's a common theme in debates about early childhood education, and I used to agree with it. So the author, she's establishing trust here, okay? And one of the ways she's doing it is acknowledging the other side's argument. Okay, and that's a big deal when you're talking about persuasion, because if you only think that you're right and you won't acknowledge that somebody else has a point, they just think you're crazy and they're never going to be persuaded by you. They just think you're stubborn and there's no point in talking to you. But if you can listen to the other side and say, I understand what you're saying, and then explain why they're wrong and you're right, but you really say, you know what, you have a point about this, but let me talk about it a little further and convince you, then people are actually going to listen to you and be more willing to let you persuade them. So that's a really smart way to establish trust, like saying, hey, I'm with you. We're alike in a lot of ways. They're going to listen to you a little bit better. And she does the same thing in the second paragraph. I still agree that in a context of limited resources, incremental public investment should focus first on the most disadvantaged kids. But after a decade of working on pre-K policy and seeing the practical realities of income-targeted preschool programs, I no longer think targeted pre-K should be the goal. It should be a way station on the path toward universal pre-K access. Here's why. So again, she's establishing trust. She's again acknowledging that the other side has some good points. So it's basically the same thing. So instead of doing all that awkward typing where I get in these weird silent moments, I'm just going to copy it and paste it over here, because she's doing the exact same thing, just a little bit longer. Instead of doing a quote, she's articulating her own idea here. But she's acknowledging the other side's argument. And then she's down here, I'm going to give you a hint. She's going to do a lot with providing statistics and facts to as her evidence, so you might see some of that. And she's also going to appeal to emotions, especially when it comes to children. That appeals to people's emotions. A lot of times they feel like, well, if adults are in a bad situation, they probably did something bad to deserve it. But pretty much almost everybody thinks that kids are pretty innocent and they don't deserve any bad things happening to them, and that they deserve lots of good things. So if somebody's able to appeal to your emotions by talking about how kids will have better lives if this or that happens, that's appealing to the emotions. So I want you to go through the rest of this article and fill that out. And then there's going to be a quiz in Schoology where I'm going to ask you in each paragraph in a multiple choice format which thing it is. Is it trust? Is it emotions? Is it a mix somehow? Is it evidence? And that's how we're going to assess your understanding of what this author is doing. So you'll fill in your say-do chart and submit it to your teacher, and then you'll also complete the quiz. Happy reading!